2023. Going to be reviewing a video called Disconnection, a story about disconnecting from my biological father and essentially him being declared an SP. Yeah, but we got some other things besides that before sort of get some perspective on. So I'll roll it. Okay. So, all right. This is the LaFleur surname. Approximately 40,000 people in the world, approximately, are LaFleurs. Most prevalent in Haiti, highest density in Haiti. My cousin Kim passed away 2 weeks ago. Kim Moreau. There are approximately 175,000 Moros in the world, highest prevalent in France, highest density in France. I'm not going to go into the whole colonial thing, but I'm just saying that these are, my ancestors were here a long time. There's a lot of history, a lot of culture. And so this is some French philosophical stuff. And I know there's weird spaces. Rene Descartes. This is something that my dad used to quote to me a lot. Once we met, and during my teenage years and my early 20s, before I disconnected. So these are fun little gracious quotes. It's from graciousquotes.com. The reading of all good books is like conversation with the finest men of past centuries. Perhaps you're bound to come across some good stuff. I can switch my cameras now. It is not enough to have a good mind. The main thing is to use it well. I can think of times when not just my father, but other friends and family would, tell me things to the effect of like, there's so much, you got so much going for you, but it does you no good if you don't use it. So, the greatest minds are capable of the greatest vices as well as the greatest virtues. This is Rene Descartes. Greatest minds are capable of greatest vices as well as the greatest virtues. I watched a video last night of a NASA engineer from the 80s who was he knowingly went and tried crack and was giving interviews with a local with whoever would interview him. And dude was a scientist at NASA. He died a couple of weeks after the last interview. He was reporting the people he was seeing in the crack houses. And the reports were astonishing. Now you could say, well, he's a drug-addled crackhead, but this guy was very aware of what he was doing, like strangely so. Um, and the stories that he told, one after the other, examples of things that he would see, people from all walks of life in these crack houses, children in crack houses. So, what I'm saying is that guy had a great mind, um, but and what Rene Descartes is saying, what I'm taking from what he's saying is that, just like this NASA engineer, capable of the greatest vices as well as the greatest of virtues. Um, Reminds me of some of the Lord Byron stuff. Um, Conquer yourself rather than the world. This is an old, it's time concept. And then they stopped making them pretty. I doubt, therefore I am. Oh, sorry. I doubt, therefore I think, therefore I am. I doubt, therefore I think, therefore I am. To me, that's more of a meditative thing. I don't know. We do not describe the world we see. We see the world we can describe. This is like early Matrix type stuff. It's like illusions. Nothing is real. Sorry, I haven't been paying attention in the chat. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Dawn. Good morning, Beachcomber. Good morning, Femmart. And Mock. And who else is in here? You got 7. We do not describe the world we see the world we can describe. We see the world that we can describe. So it's perspective. Um, you know, Descartes, I believe, was a Catholic. But some of the concepts and some of the things Catholic, uh, what do they call them? I don't want to say monks. They study esoteric stuff, some of them. And this is sort of early in my view. This seems like early. Uh, what is it? It's I don't want to mess up the name of the theory. The yeah, holographic universe. Holographic universe. We do not describe the world we see. We see the world we can describe. Which sort of points to an observer, that isn't moving, the prime mover, unmoved. An optimist may see a light where there is none, but why must the pessimist always run to blow it out? Hey, Blues. Hey, Chad. ¿Cómo ça va? ¿Cómo se plume? Big skeleton. Dawn knows she hasn't gotten her big skeleton. Oh, yeah. Am I right? Yes, I'm right. An optimist may see a light where there is none, but why must the pessimist always run to blow it out? You ever run into people like that immediately? In fact, a lot of scientific communities have that issue, the problem, where someone may discover something and immediately they're like, no, invalid, blah, blah, blah. But there is something there. And instead of investigating it, they immediately blow that light out. And now it may take much longer for that flame to ignite again. The only thing we have power over in the universe is our own thoughts. Now, I've thought about that. I've meditated about that. I've accepted that. I don't have the power in the universe. I mean, I have my thoughts, and I have the ability to realize they're thoughts and just say, thoughts. Okay, those are thoughts. Because some thoughts people have, and they're of no consequence. They're just random thoughts. There's nothing deep seated or rooted in some kind of psychological concept. Now, sometimes there are, but sometimes there's not. There is nothing so strange and so unbelievable that it has not been said by one philosopher or another. I love this one. It's all been said. It's all already been figured out. Which is so stupid. So I'm indeed amazed when I consider how weak my mind is and how prone to error. This is why critical thinking, Descartes, early critical thinker, how prone to error, how weak his mind is. Wow. What am I waiting for? What are you talking about, Dawn? What am I waiting for? We're looking for the album I played. Cannot find it anywhere. I'm not sure what album you're asking. Good morning, Amy. Yeah, was it something that I played on KFUK? Because if that's the case, you can go to. Hold it up. I'll just pull it up. I'll do all my own. I do all my own stunts here. Okay. Stunt broadcasting is a quick draw type game. And you got to
location
watch.
for the moment.
Oh, yeah. So there it is. Media. Here. All right. Bunch of broadcasts that I did. Irreverent broadcasts. I will warn you, the call sign and the call letters of the broadcast is KFUK. The FCC will not approve of that. I do my station ID to comply in case they decide they want to get involved. Lingus. Okay. Yeah. The song that I played was probably real. It's got a real groovy bass line. Or it could have been, Lingus. There you go. All right, great. We got that answered. 4 powerful Rene Descartes quotes on truth. To live without philosophizing is, in truth, the same as keeping the eyes closed without attempting to open them. No problem. Mind my blues. Glad to share this music with people. Thrilled. I get claims on the radio station, and they all clear, but they do get claims. I do get permission from all the artists, so, and some of them are on labels, so it's kind of cool. I got approval from Yellow Dog Records and the new label that Brother Deej is signed to in Germany to play his back catalog. So that's awesome. And I submitted my stuff to Cecil Doyle at the terrestrial radio, public radio, KRVS out of Lafayette. See what happens with that. To live without philosophizing in truth is, in truth, the same as keeping the eyes closed without attempting to open them. Hey, Dawn, if I had money, I would do it in a heartbeat. I would love to buy this woman everything she deserves. I've negative 21 cents in my bank account this morning, so I just haven't thought about and haven't had income for so long that, I don't even really want to discuss it. I've got a reopened disability case, another 2 to 5 months. It's a touchy subject for me, money. Um, okay. Um, to live without philosophizing in truth is the same as keeping your eyes closed without attempting to open them. So, he may have said this in a context broadly to people in general that, well, I ain't much of a philosopher. Education was for nobles. Education was for the, pardon my français, but for the inbred elites. And some of them did some great things, and some of them did horrible things. But, we didn't have the kind of equality. And I know that's a word that is, people would argue with me on that. Fine, whatever. But we didn't have the equality. Our ancestors didn't. That's for damn sure. And in my case, it's been very recent. And the numbers show it. All right. So, truth will be discovered by an individual rather than a whole people. I worked as a DJ and day program moderator on a radio station for 20 years. No shit. Back in the 80s and 90s, my best job ever. I'm telling you what, my blues, those old DJ jobs were the shit, weren't they? Oh my God, so much fun. And then Clear Channel came and ruined it all. Just completely ruined it all with, well, it's owned, the shareholder that bought it all up, and then Clear Channel afterwards bought every radio station, were mostly donors from the GOP and hardcore evangelists. Right, exactly, my blues. You could see so much, you could experience so much with all the submissions and everything. It wasn't like what it is today. Anyways, we're going to date ourselves too much here. All right, truths will be discovered by an individual rather than a whole people. It's a great point because when you think about some of the other stuff y'all watch and I watch, it's a groupthink. So, this is sort of a very sophisticated, like anti-mob mentality statement. Truths will be discovered by an individual rather than a whole people. A rather sophisticated way to say, don't be mobbing up on people. You won't find the truth. You got too much distortion. If you would be a real seeker after truth, it is necessary that at least once in your life you doubt, as far as possible, all things. Hey, Mock. This is huge because Descartes, as you're going to see in the video, and I'll explain, my dad was very into philosophy and theology, and he and my cousin found out real quick what Scientology's philosophy was. And it applies. This quote applies to Scientology, to Christianity, to Buddhism, to Judaism. I mean, any religious belief, any set of preordained beliefs. If you would be a real seeker after truth, it is necessary that at least once in your life you doubt, as far as possible, all things. All things. Now, when you get to a point like that, well, who knows what it is like for you? It's all a matter of perspective. But to doubt all things, this is where whenever I stopped using the language and I discarded Scientology wholesale and all other religions wholesale, I became an atheist. I just said, I don't know. I'm throwing it all away. I doubt all of this. I doubt that I have dissociative and derealization type experiences where I just, is it any of it even real? Good morning, Juliana. Zenu. Live long and prosper. Welcome. There is nothing more ancient than the truth. And that goes back to what he was saying about there's nothing that hasn't already been thought of, man. 6 inspirational Rene Descartes quotes about life. I'm reading this before I play the video because my dad loved to quote Descartes. And his birthday is this week, September 23rd. I don't know how old he would be. He died at 63. Whenever anyone has offended me, I try to raise my soul so high that the offense cannot reach it. What does that mean? I take it to mean love at a distance. That's how I interpret it because that's how I deal with people who offend me. I can still love them. I can still have all of the goodwill towards them and want them to do well. But I, I don't want to me, that sounds arrogant, raise my soul so high that the offense cannot reach it. But love at a distance makes more sense and sounds less arrogant to me. But this is early stuff. People would describe themselves as souls for sure. 1600s-ish, yeah. Except our own thoughts, there is nothing absolutely in our power except our own thoughts. And he said that earlier. You just keep pushing. You just keep pushing. I made every mistake that could be made, but I just kept pushing. I'll probably end this stream with this broadcast with "Don't Give Up" because this is echoed throughout time. You read Charles Bukowski, All the Way. Great video. Just Google Charles Bukowski, All the Way. Hey, Jan. Morning or wherever, what time it is where you're at. Catching up on chat here. To me, that sounds beautiful. Yeah. Love them from afar when you can keep yourself safe. Amy Jean. You got it. You got it, sister. And yes, this quote was echoed for Charles Bukowski. Go all the way. Go all the way. Each problem that I solved became a rule, which served afterwards to solve other problems. You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna screw up. You're gonna really screw up. And this is echoed forward into time as don't make the same mistake twice. Conventional wisdom from noble elite inbreds. I mean, this is my own family I'm talking about here, essentially. So, or my ancestors at least. they were either it was either them or it was people who lived among them. Um, at at last, I will devote myself sincerely, without reservation, to the general demolition of my opinions. Yeah, I mean it's fine to have an opinion, but that's exactly what it is. It's just an opinion, man. It's like the dude. Uh, the dude abides, and that's just like your opinion, man. Uh, Traveling is almost like talking with those of other centuries. I'm not sure exactly what context he meant that in. I'm going to skip the mathematics quotes. I hate math. Uh, Rene Descartes quotes that will make you think. All right. Starts out with, I suppose, therefore, that all things I see are illusions. All right, here we go. Holographic universe concept, 1600s. I believe that nothing has ever existed of everything my lying memory tells me. I think I have no senses. I believe that body, shape, extension, motion, location are functions. What is there, then, that can be taken as true? Perhaps only this one thing, that nothing at all is certain. Morning, Free. Beachcomber, you love the math? All right, well, there's only 4 quotes of the math. Okay. We're going to do this for Beachcomber. So, we have to sit through math class for Beachcomber. Mathematics is a more powerful instrument of knowledge than any other that has been bequeathed to us by human agency. With me, everything turns into mathematics. Now, don't get me wrong. In music, it's like math to me, but I don't have it's like I have the music part, but not the math part. Even though they're the same, I can't think with numbers, whereas I can think with arbitrary note values or tones. But in my opinion, this is Rene Descartes, but in my opinion, all things in nature occur mathematically. Morning, JC. Freezing wants mathematics too. All right, cool. I'm trying not to go skim way past them because I just don't have a whole lot to say on them, really. I don't understand mathematics. I failed mathematics terribly. Had a very bad education with mathematics, and didn't understand it. So back to the wisdom. Makes me think of the wisdom dog that Stella showed me. The dog of wisdom. It's really niche meme type stuff kids are into now. I suppose, therefore, that all things I see are illusions. I believe that nothing has existed of everything my lying memory tells me. I think I have no senses. I believe that body, shape, extension, motion, location are functions. What is there, then, that can be taken as true? Perhaps only this one thing, that nothing at all is certain. Certainty is a big thing they push in Scientology and in other religions. Be certain, or have faith, or be in the spirit. Right? They have different names. Are there any others that you guys can think of? In Scientology, it's certainty, or tone 40. In Christianity, it's have faith. Like Catholics, just have faith. Pray. Baptists sometimes are like that. Just pray, have faith. Or some Baptists are like, don't worry about it because everything is forgiven anyway. So no matter what horrible shit you do, you're forgiven already. So go forth and sin all you want. But you'll burn in hell if you do. It's crazy. So certain that nothing at all is certain. This was a man who was essentially questioning faith in a way that didn't get him killed. Common sense is most widely shared commodity in the world, for every man is convinced that he is well supplied with it. Mock says math is all about understanding the brain structure enough to explain it right, and that may very well be true. But I did some pretty heavy drugs early on in my brain was developing, so I don't know if my brain is even capable of that. Good morning, borderline. Um, yeah, you don't have to be good at math. Just believe in it and let it work for you. Appreciate it. Oh, that I do. That I do. But like I don't even pretend to know. Like I'm just like whatever. I do my best. I'm good at simple arithmetic, and I see beauty in that for sure. I just the concepts past that are like. And it's probably because of my early education. There was a teacher who wasn't qualified really to teach algebra, but she did, and it kind of maybe screwed me up more than the other kids because I already had a impairment with that learning. Common sense is the most widely shared commodity in the world, for every man is convinced that he is well supplied with it. Everyone thinks they got common sense. Everyone does have some common sense. Uh, so it is the most shared commodity in the world. Doubt is the origin of wisdom. Wow, powerful words, because doubt and the doubt condition is what got me out of Scientology. Scientology itself got me out of Scientology, in addition to finding out some people that I figured that I could trust, and I had no real reason to believe it, like Mike. When Mike left, I found out later than he had left. I found out, I think, in 2011 or 2012. And that was a huge blow. And I'd already been doing my doubt as per assigned by the Baton Rouge mission by Dominic Boudreau, the executive director of the Baton Rouge org. After years of failed handlings and just basically me not showing up to nothing, I'm done trying to figure my life out. So my doubt condition took years. It literally took years. So whenever we did the streams, the backflash broadcasts, and someone would ask, "What would you tell someone who's in a coercive control group, or specifically Scientology, to do to get out?" And I this is not the only way. Obviously, there are other ways to intervene or get out, but the doubt condition. Uh, if you just keep doing it, and you inform oneself honestly about the activities, intentions, and goals and purposes of the organization that you are a part of versus the other group, which you have to make up. In my case, I made up because in the culture of Scientology, it's called the WOG world. So I left Scientology for the WOG world. And that was the other group that I made up. And I did that because it's a derogatory thing. And I wanted to compare Scientology with one of the most derogatory things that Scientology thinks about, which is the WOG world. And they call it that. It's meant to be derogatory. Yes, I know it's a racial slang term in the UK, and I'm sorry if it offends anyone, but I'm speaking that word purely from a Scientological perspective. I had no idea that word meant that until 2017 or 2018. Okay, doubt is the origin of wisdom, and I would still give that advice to anyone in the Sea Org or staff that wants to get out. Okay, so the only thing I know is that I know nothing. This is more of the same type of stuff. He's just, he's reiterating. How can you be certain that your whole life is not a dream? More holographic theory here. For I found myself embarrassed with so many doubts and errors that it seemed to me that the effort to instruct myself had no effect other than the increasing discovery of my own ignorance. Rene Descartes. Perfect numbers, like perfect men, are very rare. No comment. Uh, I know that I'm rare, but I don't know that that's the reason why. I know that I exist. The question is, what is this I that I know? Again, ancient philosophies, you know, the I, the person, the ego, the soul, the spirit, the divine light, whatever you want to call it. What is this I that I know? The chief cause of human errors is to be found in the prejudices picked up in childhood. This is a rough one. The prejudices picked up in childhood. He was speaking on domestic violence, domestic abuse, emotional violence, emotional abuse, sexual violence, sexual abuse, sexual assault, while not directly speaking about it. He's saying, what happens to these children affects them as adults. This was just not something that the Catholic Church at the time could castrate him for. And there were very important ideas to get into church. I think that even though the Catholic Church is still a criminal organization for the most part, just like most religions, uh, similarly, just like most religions, there are a lot of good people in there. I believe that. I choose to believe that. You don't have to believe it. I've met some. Of course, I've met some that aren't, too. I'm accustomed to sleep and in my dreams to imagine the same things that lunatics imagine when awake. I am accustomed to sleep and in my dreams to imagine the same things that lunatics imagine when they are awake. So, I don't think he's talking about dreaming at night. I think he's talking about daydreaming. 9 quotes to live by. This is the last set. In order to improve the mind, we ought less to learn than to contemplate. Think. Don't just learn or do what you're told. Think about it. It'll improve your mind. Hey, poet. I desire to live in peace and to continue the life I have begun under the motto, to live well, you must live unseen. I have a tune I haven't released called Keep Your Head Down. And I feel like it touches on this a little bit. To not be constantly distraught by all of the horrible things that happen. A private life is, I mean, it's not to say to completely exclude people and avoid people, but it allows you time to think, as one of the previous quotes said, think about what's going on. Think about what you could do possibly. What could you do to help yourself or others? And when you are keeping your head down, and not listening to everything that's going on, all the noise, the chatter, you can do that. He who hid well lived well. That's a rather curious quote. He's a human being too. So no doubt he did some messed up stuff. Sandy Powers, good morning. Marilyn Honig said she has fibromyalgia, and the doctor feels she has it because of the trauma in her life as a child. Yeah. So this is nothing new. Like Descartes was saying this 300 years ago. To know what people really think, pay attention to what they do rather than what they say, and this communicates forward through time. Actions speak louder than words. I could get into a whole sidetrack about start, change, stop, and cycles of action with Scientology. I'm not going there today. Not with that. Got too much other stuff to go through. It is only prudent never to place complete confidence in that by which we have even once been deceived. And note he says prudent. I think that's a correct word to use. It is only prudent to never place complete confidence in that by which we have even once been deceived. It is prudent. However, there are cases where a person may choose to place complete confidence in another even after one has been deceived. But it is prudent. He's just making the point. It is only prudent to never to place complete confidence in that by which we have even once been deceived. And it's just a general piece of advice. Divide each difficulty into as many parts as feasible and necessary to resolve it. This is why I have a giant whiteboard. All this stuff in my head, get it out, represent the information. This is what my mentors taught me, Steve Moore and Leslie Berman. They said it doesn't matter if it looks like a spaghetti factory or a private investigator's homicide detective room where you've got pins and whatever. However you need to represent your information, you do that. Gets it out of your head. Writing is one way to do that. Journaling. Use a calendar. Whatever. Wonder is the first of all the passions. When it is not in our power to follow what is true, we ought to follow what is most probable. We ought to. It's incredibly intelligent. These are incredibly powerful quotes because they're very well written. All right. So we're not going into the discourse on method and meditations, but let's see here. Control Tab. So now we're gonna break. We're gonna have a little break if you need a bathroom break or anything like that. I'm gonna play a song called "The Back Door," but I'm not playing it on. What am I not playing it on? I'm gonna play it. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna read you the lyrics. This is all French, Creole. Let me move this there. So I'm gonna play this song. Y'all can listen to it, and we're gonna talk about it, and then we're gonna go to the video. This is a traditional French, Cajun French song that is a recording of my cousin and I playing at Wayne Morrow's at his house right before he died. Me and my cousin Joshua Aaron Taylor. We're playing "The Back Door," La Porte Derrière.
Ne mola que la
Hey! That triangle. I know. Must be fun. Hey! Hey, pasa. Okay, next thing is from Saturday at the funeral. We're going to play this here. A Mardi Gras funeral, Bazia, Louisiana, where my dad was born. Sure, we'll use both.
Hey, y'all. We're going to sing the Mardi Gras song for Kim.
All right. Hey!
Y'all ready?
It's short.
Capitaine! Capitaine, voy a tocar di hot toto! La route est grande, la nuit est longue, et les bêtes sont pas invitées. Tu les magis grâce à bien d'une fois par an de demander la charité. Une fois par an, c'est pas trop souvent pour vous quand même.
Say hip, say hop, oui mon cher camarade. Say hip, say hop, oui mon cher camarade.
Tu les magis grâce à bien de l'ouest, ça vient de longue nota. Tu l'imagines grâce à toutes des bonnes jeunes gens que deviennent d'une bonne famille. C'est pas des malfacteurs, c'est juste des chutes en bonheur.
Say hip, say hop, oui mon cher camarade. Say hip, say hop, oui mon cher camarade.
Tu l'imagines grâce à des monde de la maîtrise. Et la maîtresse pour un titre pour grâce du rio de la Grèce. Pour faire le gros gambo ce soir, grand vas-y.
Say hip, say hop, oui mon cher camarade. Say hip, say hop, oui mon cher camarade.
Tu la promenas ci, tu vas promener ça, mais tu me donneras pas.
Say hip, say hop, oui mon cher camarade. Say hip, say hop, oui mon cher camarade.
Capitaine, capitaine, tes chevaux, ça peut plus chanter parce que l'autre gorge est sec. Une bonne petite bien frais, les pérés, j'étais meilleur.
Say hip, say hop, oui mon cher camarade. Say hip, say hop, oui mon cher camarade.
Hey!
You Kim.
Okay, so people coming in asking, what the hell is going on? What is all this? This was from a funeral rite performed Saturday for my cousin Kim Morrow, who was the brother of Wayne Morrow, which was my father's best friend, who my father I disconnected from. And I'm going to share the video shortly about his funeral, how I acted as a Scientologist who was disconnected from his father, and that's what's going on. So yeah, that was the Mardi Gras song, Lady BB, and Free Xenu Project. I don't know if. Oh, is it a play? No. It's not a play. It's it's funeral right. So yeah, Mock had it right. Celebration of life. Kim, it's okay. Don't worry about it, lady. It's okay. No offense taken. None at all. Just before you came in, I played an old Cajun French song called "The Back Door," and now we're going to translate it, and I'm going to translate it for you, just sort of lighten the mood, because this topic is light and heavy. So don't even trip, Lady BB. Don't even worry about it. It's all good. So, I needed to go over and read this. the way it would be spoken. So, moi ta belle avait dans le bar. On a passé dans le honky-tonk. On a revenu le dimanche matin. Le jeu était après cassé. Je passais de la porte en arrière. L'après-midi, moi j'étais village. Je me soleil pouvait mouchard. Ils m'ont ramené avec à la maison. Il y avait compagnie. C'était mon étranger. Je passais dans la porte en arrière. None of this makes sense to you now, but when I start reading the attempted translation that Google, you're going to have some laughs. Mon beau-père, une fois qu'on arrive, il a essayé de changer mon dit. J'avais écouté, j'avais traduit. Bonjour, mon aigle, tu vas avoir du regret. Regret. Tu passes dans la porte en arrière. Hey! Last verse is, Jean tout tard, mi con Jean. La couture des pauvres gens venant pour moi. J'étais dans le village et moi, mais don't traque. Because I know what it means. La loi ramassait. Moi, je suis la prison. On va passer dans la porte de Naya. Okay, now translate to English. The back door. Me and the beauty had been to the ball. Okay, that's a very gracious translation. Me and my woman went out. We went to all the honky tonks. Now that's right. We went to all the bars. Me and my lady went to all the bars. We came back the next morning, which this would be the next day. We came back in the morning. The day was after breaking, so they were up all night. I went through the back door. Okay, that's why I was laughing. So I got so drunk. This is terrible. So in the afternoon, I was in the village. I got so drunk, I couldn't walk. They took me back home. There was company. It was foreign people. I went through the back door, but they didn't go back through the back door. So this song is actually got some sort of what would you call it? Anti-racism vibes. Anti-multicultural, not anti-multicultural, pro-anti-cultural. For the time, the Creole parishes, it didn't, it wasn't predominantly one culture. It was multicultural. So there was company. It was foreign people. I went through the back door. Well, we got a lot of multicolored and multicultural babies in Creole parishes. My old father, once I got home, he was trying to change my mind. I didn't listen. I was too hard-headed. One day will come, and that word right there means about what you might think. You will have regrets. So his father is a racist and telling him not to mess around with multicultural other races. Keep the race pure. You went through the back door. I had a lot of friends when I had money. At this time, I ran out of money. So this is a bad translation. So he used to have a lot of friends and money. And but when he decided to go with this girl, he got in trouble in town, and the law picked him up, and they just brought him to prison for some bullshit. And now we're going through the back door. So now he's subjected to prisoner type activities. All right, so now I wanted to do something funny, and that song is definitely in this culture. It's meant to be a funny song. But hey, if you don't think it's funny, don't worry. There's only approximately 40,000 LaFleurs left and 175,000 Moros left. So, it won't be around that much longer to bother you. And that's the thing about the funeral. Knowing that my two cousins that I grew up with are the last two Moros. One of them had all girls. And I know those girls will eventually have kids probably, but yeah, just being the only two, Brandon and my cousin. And that was his father's funeral, which was my father's cousin. All right. So now we get to the video. I made this video in 2017, maybe 2018. I was having a hard time. I was bouncing from place to place. Mock, I get family memories when I hear that. That's not surprising. I mean, we all have history. We all have ancestors. We all have some kind of history. So, let's see here. Let's see what Marcus Lee Sawyer had to say this day. My button not working. Hey guys. I just had a long chat with my mom. I was thinking about my dad, biological dad, who very smart man, very troubled man, died at 63, died in 2008. Army E5 radar operator, and believer in aliens. On the tombstone, it's SP5, but now the designation is E5, I am told. There's some things that I'll be talking about in more detail later with some other wogs, some some material that I've been kind of holding on to because it's spiritual in nature, and don't want anyone to think that I'm falling for some other crazy cult. But the fact of the matter is, the truth is, I am a spiritual person. And whatever that means to me is what it means to me. And before Scientology, I disavowed myself of any religion, but not spirituality. Travis and I's biological father, well, Travis didn't know him very well. I think he met him once. He met him twice, he told me recently. And the second time we met him, we pulled this prank on him. He was like, "Hey, I'm going to give you some money, go get me some beer." We took the money and we just left. I didn't remember that, he did. So Travis met him twice. Second time we just made a fool out of him.
And for those who haven't sat through the first video, long video, don't know the circumstances of that, or circumstances of the relationship with me and my biological father. I was not raised by my biological father, and I met him when I was 8 years old, and did a family swap. One minute I was part of this family, and the next minute I was part of this other family. My father's name is Dwayne LaFleur, Collins Dwayne LaFleur, and he never got to know his two sons. He had problems with alcoholism and drug abuse, and I just wanted to show his memorial video because when Travis and I went to California, he had a total conniption fit. He found out all about Scientology with the help of my cousin Jeff Taylor. All of the OT materials, all of it, Jeff found. This was when it was a little more difficult to find the information. And instead of doing...
Jeff found the information through ICANN. Jeff went to seminary school, and he called a friend who was always doing research and directed him to that. Jeff's not so good with technology, so he helped him get a lab to print out all this material. And I mean, this would have been 2003. I don't know if all of you know how tricky it might have been to get that information at that time. You would have to be really dedicated. And the issue is that Dwayne had actually gotten sober, and he had tried to contact my mother, but she refused to talk to him after the aggravated assault. And which was actually, more like self-defense, but whole other story. He had lost any kind of trust as a co-parent with both my mother and my stepfather. And my stepfather definitely was in control of everything anyway. So when he tried to explain to them and my mother, they just wouldn't even listen or pick up the phone. They said, no, this is helping Marcus and Travis. You don't understand. Scientology is helping them. They got off drugs. They're clean. We don't have to worry about them dying in some alley in, Nashville, Jackson, or Los Angeles, or Hattiesburg, or New Orleans, or wherever the hell they are doing whatever the hell they're doing. And you just need to back off. You've never, they made him feel like, he's never been a father, never was involved. So, it was a father's rights thing that was just sort of, well, we'll get into that. Fatherhood and all that stuff.
Doing some sort of crazy intervention. Dwayne read the material and read material on how to get someone out of a cult without being overbearing. In other words, to approach someone with reason and logic and uh, common sense, compassion, and understanding and love. And while he was very troubled and had a lot of addictive, he had a lot of addictions. And a lot of the times when he would call the mission, he was completely blackout drunk.
And you know, guys, when I'm saying this, now I know that this was a self-medication. You know, yes, the substances are addictive for sure, but he was on, gosh, back then they gave him everything. He had oxycodone, hydrocodone, Demerol, um, Soma. He had Flexeril, early Flexeril. He had anti-inflammatories. He had what else was there? Thank you. That's the sweet Lulu bark. Yeah. Um I would make him these daiquiris, okay, with liquor. He wanted liquor in his daiquiri. Strawberries, ice, pills, and I'd be like, I don't know how your medication. He's like, well, put a couple of these, just mix it up. Oh my God, how this man survived, I don't understand because his liver, well, he didn't, he lived to be 63, which was exactly how old Kimbo, the, my cousin that passed this weekend, or last 2 weeks ago. We just did the memorial this weekend. Same age, 63. And, the dad's was a little more drawn out and dramatic, as you'll find here in the video. Let's keep playing it. Stop talking.
It was his sole purpose in life to get Travis and I out. And I've confirmed that with my half-brother, Alan. Last days of his conscious life, what you would call life, actually living. When Alan would go visit, he would be beside himself, angry that his two sons were involved in a dangerous and destructive cult. I did a search and discovery and disconnected from him because he was deemed an SP. And I was PTS to him and had been my whole life.
So this was a cycle that happened. It started early on Time and Staff, 2000. Whenever he started calling, you know, this is something that on the network intercom system, like you could, in the whole mission, you could just pick up a phone and turn on a line and listen into a conversation. I mean, sometime if you were real sneaky about it, they wouldn't hear the click. But some of the terminals had a visual display to show if there was another person listening, and if you were listening to, say, Kathy on the on the network telephone system, she would say, "Get off the phone." So, yeah. So they were listening to these conversations, some of them, and I knew that. I knew that, Kathy, like, because I'd be in my office across the building and get up to go run something over to Jim or Monica, like packing boxes of books or something to go distribute or put somewhere or whatever. And I would see Kathy in her office just holding the phone with her neck. And Vicky would do that too. And you could see them clearly in the courtyard. Like Jim could hold the phone, talk to Vicky, see her holding the phone, and she could see him. Same with Kathy and Jim. So, and then on the phones themselves, you could also see on the executive phones, like Kathy, Tom's, Jim's, you could see if there were lines listening in. And so it became an ethics issue. It became a, it became a search and discovery. There were orders likely given to the ethics officer at the time, which was Sean McHugh, and Dominic Boudreau would start the search and discovery. They already knew. Kathy already decided it was my dad, and because she had already handled my mom and my stepfather, so had everyone convinced this is a positive thing for you and your son. And sons, both of her sons. One of them, she had given up for adoption under duress. It was basically a forced adoption. And it was for the safety of Travis. It was a crazy motherfucker threatening to kill the baby and showing signs of violence and being violent with multiple people, not being reported because of his threats were severe to make people fear of reporting him. He was also very well connected in the community, bank systems, petrochemical community, fraternities from the University of McNeese of Lake Charles, law firms, old Vietnam buddies that went to Vietnam and came back. A lot of associations, a brew association, just tons and tons and tons of people. A lot of influence and a decent amount of money. You know, not that he ever spends it.
So he was already dead to me.
Okay, so yeah, I need to continue. I need to keep going here because over a period of time, basically ending right before he died, like 2 years before he died, we identified him. Me and Dominic had identified that my father was indeed an SP. So what do you do with an SP? You handle, you can't handle. You only disconnect from SPs. They're PTS, then you can handle that. But if they're an SP, no, disconnect. Doesn't matter if it's family, doesn't matter if it's your child, doesn't matter if it's your best friend. You immediately disconnect. And what does that look like? It looks like a broken heart, broken families, broken children, broken parents, broken. And when he died, that was my attitude. My attitude was he was an SP. So he just dropped the body. And that'll get us to where we need to be for context here.
And this tattoo it says paid, but it actually looks like dead. And maybe I'll take a picture of it and point out some of the more nuanced things. That the artist that did this tattoo is a great artist. He lives in Austin, I think, now. But I got this tattoo after I saw him in a nursing home and forgave him for all of the things that he did.
Now, there's some pretext to that, because I would not have done so had I not had a conversation with a good friend of mine over the years. He's one of these guys that you meet, or person that you meet, that it's like you already know them. You hang out, you do stuff, go have lunch, whatever, and then a couple of years later, you call, have a chat, see how things are going. Sometimes every year, maybe every couple years, like a couple times a year, keep in touch. I met this guy on Melrose when I was doing moonlighting and sec checking and working. Two jobs. So Ki Chan, he's an actor. Very wise dude. Let's turn that off. This is Ki. This is my friend Ki. He's been in some stuff. He's been in Star Wars. But I talked to him. He had one of the things that we had in common was a really intense childhood with our fathers. I mean, my stepfather was my father, and he looks badass. Go Chi. I said his name wrong too. This guy right here, he's an actor. Yeah, sure, great, whatever. He's a person. All right. We've been friends. We met at a coffee shop. He liked the tea, the coffee bean and tea leaf, and never realized why he asked me to go and have coffee. But we remained friends. Later, I realized when he was with another man that maybe he thought I was interested in him. And he said yes, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, if you don't want to be friends, that's cool. He's like, no, of course not. Which I figured is what he'd say. But Dwayne was dying rapidly. He was going through like they transferred him from the nursing home to the VA hospital for critical care. And my mother was concerned about, me going to see him. She didn't know if I would. And I did. And this was something that would have been, you wouldn't do as a Scientologist. If you really were convinced that person was an SP, it wouldn't matter. They're about to drop their body. What do I need to go see it for? Like, it's over. But I went, mostly for my mother. She asked me to go. She asked me nicely to go. She said, please. And it's my mother. Mama don't say please. I'm from the South, she bring that triangle, your ass better be home. So I went, and this is where I think the story picks up.
To which he replied,
no, it's not. This is this was Ki Chan. I called Ki Chan. He had been transferred to critical care facility for non-ambulatory people, sick people, dying people. And we hide those just like we do, just like Buddha's dad did. We hide that from our view, from our purview. When you go to these places, boy, is it a dark reality, isn't it? So I told Key that that's what was going on with me, and he had some movie stuff going on. We talked about that, music. And I told him about my dad, and he knew I was a Scientologist, and I told him, what a PTS, what a SP was, and he was like, uh, Marcus, you have to go see your father. And he explained to me that his father used to hang him upside down and beat him with bamboo. And he sent me pictures of his back and the scars. And he gets cast in movies for that alone sometimes. There's only been a few, but he play a Chinese slave. He play an ambassador in Star Wars. He played opposite Dennis Hopper in some trippy ass multi-dimensional action show called Rift World or something. But prior to me visiting Dwayne on his deathbed, I went off of Key's advice. He basically inspired me to go and see him. Now if I was gonna go see him, and he's an SP, I'm gonna tell him. I have in my mind what I'm going to tell him, but when I see him, it's not what I tell him. I tell him that I forgive him, and he says, "Fuck you! I didn't do anything wrong."
Fuck you. I didn't do anything wrong.
And he didn't. He didn't. He was looking at his son, and he was about to die, and he knew it. And Lulu barking, the Lulu howl. Oh, I miss that howl. She's nothing but grumpy now. There's nothing but grumps. And I don't even deal with her. I just am around it, and it's just, that. I love the Lulu howl, and thank you. It is very much appreciated and needed. More so than I will say. Yeah, so he said, fuck you, I didn't do anything wrong. My father was a character. All right. I've got a clip here from a answering machine here we go. Let me move this. Of him leaving a message. Let's see. On an answering machine. Somewhere in the 90s. And you'll hear my stepfather's, the old school answering machine. Hey, Tish. Well, I just saw you on the corner of my eye. This is listen.
Hello, this is the Sawyer residence. We're not in right now, but if you'll leave your name and your number, we'd be glad to get back with you.
That's Ira.
Well, this is Dwayne Frere, and I don't think you want to get back with me.
Well, this is Dwayne LaFleur, and I don't think you want to get back with me. That You know, it could be taken both ways with both Ira and Alice. Like, that could be a message to mom saying, I don't know if you want to get back together or not. And that could be a message to Ira, I don't know if you want to get back with me because something bad going to happen. Ira assaulted him years ago, kicked him in the nuts at a family, like, at my grandparents' house, an arranged meeting to be civil about this whole, Dwayne and Alice having a child. And Ira said he was going to be, oh, I'll be good, whatever. He shows up and just runs up and kicks him right in the balls. He kicked him so hard that I have prostate ball issues. I can't keep up with y'all right now. But I'm sure y'all are keeping up. So there's another clip I wish I had. I need to find, but that's for another time.
And my last words to him when he was dying in the VA hospital were, I hope it hurts. He smiled and
Yeah, I remember this very vividly because his reaction was so opposite of what I wanted. As a Scientologist, seeing an SP die is this sick, twisted pleasure because you know they're never going to hurt Scientology again. Even if it's your own father, it could be your own son or daughter or cousin or best friend. My own father. There's more to it than just Scientology. I was trained, and that's the word that my stepfather uses, that I was trained to have a very negative disposition towards my father, and trained in a way where it was subtle and but it was all encompassing. So I had a double dose of life, vilifying my father, who actually was a decent guy. He was a good guy. My dad was a good guy. And my stepfather and Scientology helped me and surely contributed to the stress of his ultimate demise. He died of a broken heart. I told my mother that. She didn't bat an eye. She agrees. I mean, there were a lot of things wrong with him. And when he started drinking, he had quit for 3 years. And then he started drinking. He couldn't keep drinking. He drank so much when he was young. And for 20 years he drank. So his liver just, he had a stroke. And then that affected him. And he had liver failure ultimately. So, yeah, I mean, I had a lot. His reaction after I said what I said, I hope it hurts. And my mother had just asked me, please be kind. She pulled me away before I walked to the bed and said, please be kind. And I said, okay, Mom. And I walk over there and I said, I hope it hurts. And then I look at him and he's got his eyes closed. And it's like he heard my voice and he smiled. It didn't matter what I was saying. He heard my voice. And let's continue.
looked at peace. At his funeral, where this video that I'm about to show played, I was VGIs, very good indicators. I was happy. It broke the hearts of
Amy Jean, no. She didn't hear. I said it very quietly. I said it very quietly, and there was pumps and stuff, in a hospital room, and all that stuff. So I said it quietly, very closely in his ear. And I'm glad that she didn't hear it. But I did tell her later that that's what I told him. You know, uh,
every member of my family that I was so ecstatic he was dead. I happily put him into the ground knowing he was an SP.
this is how extreme. This is how extreme it can be. This is how extreme they want it to be. This is how extreme it is. It seems to me like there are people falling out of the window, like the 1920s and 30s stock market crash. People jumping out of buildings, and they're not on fire. The building isn't on fire. They're just jumping out. Last time I counted, there's 52 channels in the SPTV channel. That's insane and amazing and good. And there's more every week. Yeah, Freezy knew he loved both of me and Travis and my mother. And my mother is still in love with him and always has been. And, yeah.
Years have passed, and the things that he said to me echo in my mind all the time.
So one of the things that echoes in my mind are the times when we would sit and read on the phone. That was one thing he did with me when I was a teenager, and I had my allotted phone time with him on the phone. I got an hour on the phone with him, and Ira had to allow that. And he was absolutely, he fought in court to make it the most minimal amount of time so that I have spent the least amount of time with my father as possible. Amy, yeah. 53 years. You know. Yeah, okay.
And if I have any spirituality left, I would have to say that it comes from him.
Now, that's Inception. That's not me anymore. That person, every cell that thing is not me. It's all been rejuvenated and recombobulated into different form. So, the memory that we have of people never goes away unless it does and we have Alzheimer's or something. But in that memory, they're living. They can be living. Their personality, if you think of them, well, I'm just speaking how I think of it now, is Kim, my cousin that just passed, and Wayne, his brother, who was best friends with my dad, Dwayne. So they were kind of all real good friends. They're all gone. But in my mind, in my memory, if you look at the not the Voltaire, if you go back in the video at some point in the future and reread some of the quotes from Descartes, and what reality is. What is it, you know? What can you be sure of? That you're wrong about everything? That you don't know? So all you have is your thoughts and memories of people when they pass. But that's all you got anyway. So they don't go anywhere. They're with you.
So, and
some people don't want to listen to it because it brings grief, but going through that process is part of, well, it's part of the healing, right? It's also part of keeping that, honoring that person in your own life, if it's someone that you feel that you want to honor.
mother. Those were the two people that created me and my brother. So I'm gonna share with you the father that I never knew really, but whose words, as I said, he was a very smart guy, whose words still echo in my mind. And I'll talk more about that later, but for now, I just want to show you the memorial pictures so that you can get an idea of what he looked like, what his personality was, whatever you can glean from pictures. Wog World is becoming more and more of a tribute to Dwayne. I think of him all the time when I make videos.
Praise Xenu. Yeah, great point. There are more SPs than there are actual Scientologists. At a certain point, I felt that wasn't the case, obviously. But now more than ever, it's like I said, people just jumping out. The building isn't even on fire. They're just like, we got to get out of here. And I hope that some of the stuff Serge is doing is reaching people, that maybe he was connected to and that may take a gander somehow, some way. There's always a way. Humans are very, very resourceful. If you really want, I'm not saying total control isn't a thing, but if the desire is there, the desire and the skill. So you have the desire and the skill. I have it above my door, and I can't even remember what the quote I'm trying to quote is.
After I make videos, because he knew what we were a part of, and he would be proud, despite any personal danger I may be subjecting myself to, or harassment or whatever, that I'm talking about it now. So
just a quick note on that. That time and around that time, there were vehicles that were going up and down this dead-end road that I grew up on in 20 miles from the Gulf, way away from any Scientology, but also just low traffic. And I started documenting these vehicles, and there were two different drivers, and the vehicle would be random, and they would come by 2 to 3 times a week, twice a month. So every other week, they would drive by. And then when I went to North Sulphur, if I had access to a vehicle, which I sometimes did, there was a Jeep that had imaging equipment on both sides in the passenger seat, and then a big camera in the back. And it was a Missouri license plate. Multiple of my people saw it. My friend saw it. Dale saw it, the studio owner. It had been seen tailing just noisily. You know, they're not trying to be discreet. They're trying to make you feel like, you know, hey, there's a big black SUV behind your Jeep with all kinds of gear on it following you, tailing you. I did some maneuvering one day and got a picture of the plate. I sent it to Karen and Jeffrey, and they ran it and said that it was registered in Missouri, which prevents them from finding out who it was owned by. But Poison Spider Customs had a custom plate, and the vehicle was from the fleet that came from Hemet. Poison Spider Customs is in Hemet, California. So it came directly from that particular custom shop, and then apparently was registered in Missouri, and then no known associated ownership other than that. Just that it was registered in Missouri.
Collins, Dwayne LaFleur.
And I brought it up because my dad was kind of like, you know, you need to do this, you need to do that. Okay. Sometimes he would say you need to do things that are hard. It might be hard. All right. Like something you don't want to do, like rip the Band-Aid off. And this would have been one of those things that he would have loved to see me do. And I can think about his memory and how he was, and I was saying that I think that he would be very pleased with me. But at the time I was very sad, and there was a lot of aggravating stuff going on.
He's an E5 in the Army. Music's cheesy. Well,
This is what they played at the funeral home.
born September 23rd, 1944. It's my grandfather and my grandmother, my dad, his sister, and his brother, Farnell. His sister's name is Gwen. That's him in the middle. Farnell on the right. He loved to go out on the water and fish. He was a Boy Scout. Here's his graduation picture. There's him and his first wife, Judy, my Aunt Gwen, And that's him and his cousin Wayne, I think.
Yes, that was Wayne.
And that's my sister Jill. Stepsister. And there's his army picture. He worked on radars that were going to be used later in pieces of the radar were implemented into the M1 Abrams tank later. There's my cousin Jeff that helped him. I missed that. He was an avid hunter, fisherman. And there's my cousin Byron. You can see the resemblance in all of us. I mean, we all look the damn same. And that's some of his work buddies. After he retired from the military, he went into General Electric. And that was his house. And that's him and my Aunt Gwen.
Just on that picture of Aunt Gwen, boy, he got her pie-eyed that night. Did you see her eyes? She's like, He got her drunk that night. It's funny.
Those were some of the neighbor kids.
Those kids beat the crap out of me. That was my initiation in the neighborhood. And that right there looks like English Bayou, but it ain't. But, you know, we had cuts like that all over the place in Moss Bluff. We lived right next to, when I did live, a short period where me and my mother lived with him, part-time custody, joint custody, which was only a few months. We lived next to a frog breeding ground. So there's all kind of stuff you could catch out there. I mean, if you go frogging when they're breeding, you wear waders and you just wade through the frogs. Just pick them up, put them in buckets.
That's English Bayou. There's Ross and it's my cousins, Byron and Ross. And there's my brother Alan right here.
Amy, they beat you up even though they seemed like buddies with your dad. Yeah. So there were 3 kids in that neighborhood, and they were all older than me, and they were all, I guess, rougher and tougher and meaner than me. I mean, I grew up in Carlos, which is like A1 ag land, farmland, and there's like I had a friend next door. I had one friend, so there just wasn't a whole lot of people. And when we moved over there, their dad, those 2 kids, their dad they were living in a house, call it a house, a 10 by 16 square foot plot that wasn't finished. It had concrete floors. It did not have a front door. It had a door inside to close the doors. So, I mean, it was almost like camping, I guess, no AC. And Rudy lived in a house that had AC. We had AC. They didn't have AC. Um, they were extremely poor, and they would just take stuff from people. They would go and without even caring, like they go in the neighborhood and just steal stuff.
And that's my Uncle Farnell.
Yeah, Frizinu, I sure do. I have pictures where people that look happy. I would say they look silly more than happy, but you can sort of, see how one can look like the other. That's my uncle, and they're close in age, and yeah, they were close as well.
And there's my Uncle Farnell, my Papa LaFleur, and Gwen's husband, my aunt's
Doug Taylor.
husband. Taylor is his last name. It's my brother Alan again. And there's my mama and my Papa LaFleur.
Oh, that's getting me. I love my mama. She was such a kind woman. She was a really, really kind woman.
There's my nephew. There's obviously Dwayne, but that's my nephew, Alan's son. His name is Anthony. This was Alan's wedding. That's Jill's wedding. Handsome devil, right? It's my Aunt Gwen, my grandfather, my Uncle Farnell, and my father. There's my dad, Jill, Mary, my brother. Mary is my brother's wife. And then Alan and Jill's mother. I'm not sure whose baby that is. The life of one we love is never lost. Its influence goes on through all the lives it ever touched. Entered into rest April 10th, 2008. May these reminders of happy times bring you comfort.
I'm gonna get flagged for that from Johnson Funeral Homes. All right, yeah. Um, so things my dad used to tell me, and it was frantic. He was trying to get as much as he could in uh, while he could, because he knew he didn't have a lot of time. So to give you some perspective on what that funeral was like, it was 2008. I was still a Scientologist in my head. It was still indie, public, whatever. I didn't shed a single tear. That video, to me, at that time, was a glorification of a suppressive person. What he used to ask me when he would call the mission, "What are you doing with your music?" "You got any gigs?" Subtle. There's a lot more that he used to say to me. And as an adult, as a father now, I understand and if you ever wonder why I'll keep doing whatever video I want to do, it's his voice that I hear in my head, and all the things that he used to say to me. I never grieved over him when he died. I didn't grieve over him for many years. And when I started to peel the layers off of Scientology, it slowly crept in, and I no longer saw a suppressive person. I saw a man desperate, his whole life desperate to have a relationship with his two sons. And Travis has said he wishes he could have had more of a relationship with him, and I can relate, because the relationship that I had with him while he was alive was not very healthy. The circumstances were extreme and violent and abusive. But this was a man who was deprived of access of any kind for nearly a decade, and in fact he was told that Travis was dead. And when he found out that he wasn't, it wasn't long he told me. And he would tell me the cold, hard truth. Didn't matter how old I was. And that's the things that I say I remember. I had a conversation with my mother tonight about this, and she was open to having it, which was very relieving. But this is sort of my tribute. If you want to know where my drive and inspiration comes from to do all this stuff, despite the hardships that I'm going through, which everybody has hardships. But I have to acknowledge that the past 4 years have been incredibly hard. This last year especially, not being able to work. I could be sitting around just doing nothing. But if you know a Frere, which is my biological name. It's not on my birth certificate. It's in the genes. We don't let shit go. We're very passionate, sensitive men. All the men I meet in my family are very, very passionate, very sensitive, very open. In love with knowledge, in love with the world, in love with music, in love with women. Passionate. Frere is French. Perhaps passionate to a fault. There are many of us. It's probably a good thing that we're all so separated, because if you put us all in one room together, the odds of anyone surviving might be next to nothing. We're all very passionate people about our ideas and our tastes. I never thought that someone especially a father figure who was never really present in my life, and the time that he was present was not, he wasn't able to, considering the circumstances, he wasn't able to have a real relationship with me. So all that he had was what he could say. And I never would have imagined that those things that he told me would be lessons for me that a father would teach his son, that still have as much gravity and meaning as someone who would be around their son every single day of their life. So his anniversary of his death is coming up in April, and I never properly paid my respects to him. So perhaps April 10th. I will. I love you guys. Thanks for the support, as always. And if you could help me get to Clearwater on March 10th, it'd be greatly appreciated. If you don't know how, there's on the YouTube page, on the right hand side, there's a little icon, looks like a P. That's the Patreon. Any help would be greatly appreciated. I do plan on going. I did go with Brenda touring, and I feel that Collins Dwayne LaFleur is with me right now from this point forward, and in everything that I do, because he would want me to expose this. He would be so proud of what I'm doing, even if I don't necessarily feel like it's a point of pride. It would be more like an expectation. He would say, "Good job." So, it's tough. We'll talk more about this later. Have a great night. There was so much other shit going on in addition to that. But so he was very supportive and an inspiration for me, and even Travis, to play music. He encouraged us to follow that. I wanted to be a pilot. It didn't work out. Came from a troubled home. Didn't have good grades. They were like, go to the Army. I'm like, hell no. I want to fly jets. They're like, you're never going to fly jets. I'm like, okay, well, I'm good at guitar. So that was everyone's talking about, you need a backup plan. Well, this is my backup plan, man. I'm going to need a second backup plan. And him and my grandfather on my mom's side, and my grandmother by marriage, but she was I'm looking at a picture of her right now. She hangs out in the studio with me. Her name is Wilma Faye Head, and I don't remember her maiden name. I'd have to look it up. They're the ones that encourage us to do what we were passionate about, what we feel we were good at. And so I'll end this with this tune. Don't give up. My dad never gave up. He never really did. I disconnected. So the door was always open. So there you have that. And this is off of I'm going to get flagged for this. It's my own music. I'm going to get flagged for it. I know it. It's been happening every week. Claims. They don't want me making money. down the end of your road. You're hanging from a tiny little thread. You got no place to go, nowhere to let go. Sometimes it's too hard to cry. Just keep it all locked up inside. Yeah, and maybe you could let it all go. But God only knows. Your lust for blood, I could smell your fear. If you didn't want comfort, I don't know why you're here. She loved that insincere. Let go of that feeling that burns you down inside. And the demons that haunt you, all that pain in your mind. Love will come to exercise. Sometimes it's too hard to cry. It's hard as a rock inside. The river will cut you in time. Polished stone with a precious glow. You'll need nothing, no one, place to call home. Don't give up. 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 Thanks, guys. Love y'all too. I'm gonna get flagged for my own damn song. Oops. Let me do a courtesy fade. Courtesy fade. So that it doesn't jar your ears. You know, this is something DJs do. Kind of lost it at the end there. So, will my keyboard work? Yes. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.